In this video, we're going to do the power rule. Note the power rule and the form it has. Note that this is the form where you have a factor and an exponent, and then you have parentheses and you have another exponent outside. What do? You multiply n times n to have this form. Or you have two factors, separate it, you have parentheses, and then that separates it from an exponent outside of the parentheses. And what do is you distribute, in this case m, and you have this. Okay, so what does this mean? Let's see. Let's do an example like x to the third quantity squared. Okay, what does that equal to? Well, we're going to use the power rule that states that we can multiply the exponent. So x 3 times 2, that's going to give me what? 6, right? An alternative way would be to say something like, how many factors of x to the third power do I have? That's right, 2 of them. So another way of doing this, right, and I'm going to rewrite the problem here. Another way of saying it is that if I have 2 factors of x cubed, so that means I'm going to write x cubed 2 times because I have 2 factors of these. And then I can say to myself, how many factors of x do I have? I have 3 of them in this case, in this term. So I can write them out 1, 2, 3, right? Which is this term. And then you have a multiply. Okay, I'm going to put a multiply. How many, this term has how many, well, how many factors of x do I have in this term? Well, I have 3 of them. Okay, so I write another x times x times x. And as you know, with the product rule, you just have to add the exponents, and then you have 6 of them, 6 factors of x. That might seem a little bit more longer, but sometimes that makes more sense in doing it that way. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's say something like 7n to the power of 2. How do we do that? Okay, so here we don't have exponents in our term, 7n, but we can put exponents on it, and if you don't see any, you just put a 1. So here we go, 2 times 1, 2 times 1, that gives you 7 squared n squared. And the 7 squared, of course, becomes 49 n squared, okay? So you didn't have the ones here. I put it there so we can see, to do the math, and you can see it a little bit more clear. But what's another way of doing this? An alternative way, right, would be something like, well, 7n squared, right? 7n quantity squared. What is that? Well, it says you have 2 factors of 7n. So I'm going to write them out. And then you can just say 7 times 7, which is 49, and n times n squared. Same answer. Okay. Let's say you had something like negative 8 x squared, right? And we're going to square that. How do we do that? Okay. This one is a bit challenging, but I think the best way to do this, so that you won't mess up with the negatives, how many factors of negative 8x squared do I have? How many? That's right, you have 2 of them. Okay, so I'm going to write out negative 8x squared 2 times. Cool. Now, I can see that negative 8 times negative 8 gives me 64. And x squared times x squared gives me x to the 4th power. Okay? And so that's the answer. Okay, this squared is telling me, hey, I got how many factors of negative 8x squared? 2 of them. Okay, so we got that out of the way. And sometimes you have something like a fraction, like say 1/2 x quantity squared, right? Again, you can rewrite this. You can say 1/2 x, that's one factor. 1/2 x, here's the next factor, right? Because you have 2 factors of half x, right? Half of an x. So half times half, right? Half times half. Multiply the top, multiply the bottoms, and gives you 1/4. So let's jump over here. That's 1/4. And then x times x, we know that to be x squared. Okay, it's really important to understand that there are certain situations that are a little bit weird, like this negative here. Everything else seems to, you can break it down into some type of product or something, or a product rule. There's one more I want to show you that I think might be interesting to look at, and it's something like negative 4 squared to the power of 3. This one's a little bit different. There's only one factor, okay, which is 4, and then it has a negative. Here, what we can do is when we multiply 2 times 3, you're going to have negative 4, 2 times 3, and that's going to give you negative 4 to the 6th power. And that's how you do it. Okay? So, if that's the case, right, then this will be something like you simplified the problem. If they want you to evaluate it, means put in the calculator, you'll know that it's going to be an answer of negative 4096.